And now, I will show you the power of the dark side. Hey guys, I'm Isaac Harigle, this is Geeks on Tap, and today we're going to talk about dark beers. So most people think of dark beer as being exclusively Guinness, but there's actually several different shades of dark. Not all dark beers have to be high alcohol, and not all dark beers have to be like that smooth, creamy thing. Dark beers actually lend themselves to what are called adjuncts. Adjuncts is anything outside of the four main ingredients of beer, which we've already covered in another video. You can find that right here. What adjuncts mean is basically, in this case for instance, No Label Brewing out of Katy, Texas, just north of Houston. This is their Elda M, which is their milk stout. What does milk stout mean? Glad you asked. That means that they add milk sugar to it. It's literally dehydrated milk powder. And it's unfermentable, which means yeast doesn't eat it up, so that sweetness remains in there. It's a lot like adding cream to your coffee. It depends on how much cream you want. You can use a lot of it, you can use a little of it. It just depends on what flavor profile you're going for. What I particularly like about this beer is that even though it's a milk stout, which means it should be super creamy, it is, but it also has a lot of roast to it. Very similar to coffee, but a little bit on the drier side. Think like dark chocolate, like when you go to like the really fancy store like Whole Foods and you get that 90% cacao. That's the kind of chocolate it is. We're not talking a Hershey bar here. We're talking something smooth and delicious that's more of an adult version of a dessert. So what I like about this beer also is that it's super light bodied. It does not go, it drinks a little bit more like a Guinness. If you ever get the Guinness in the bottles where it's got like that yellow parchment paper on it, the one that says Guinness Draught, D-R-A-U-G-H-T, that's the Guinness you want to try. That's actually what Guinness is supposed to taste like. It's a very light bodied, dry Irish stout. Dry in stouts is just like dry in beer or wine. It literally leaves you with a drier feeling in your mouth. And in the Texas summertime, if you're a fan of dark beers, that helps. It helps a lot. What I like about this beer is that like it's very minimal, but it's also very evocative, which that's kind of what good art should be. Cheers, guys. So that was a milk stout. Now we're gonna move into a coffee stout, which is my gateway beer for a lot of people at my bartending job to get into dark beers. Because who doesn't love coffee? Heretics, that's who. In this case, we're doing Backcountry from Fort Tap out of North Central Austin. This is a coffee stout that they utilize coffee beans from Flat Track Coffee Roasting Company, which is a local coffee roasting company. Why does this matter? Well, go local when you can, right? Anyway, this one is a really nice stout that's got a lot of dark chocolate malts in it, and then they also add the coffee beans in during fermentation. And that means that you get all those wonderful coffee flavors out of it without necessarily having that caffeine, because most of that gets eaten up during the fermentation. This basically drinks like a Starbucks coffee, or if you want to be fancy about it, Houndstooth, where you can only get espresso. Basically with a coffee stout, what you're looking for is your dryness and your roastiness of it. And this is a great example of it. Sorry, I was just remembering the last good time I had at IHOP. If you like coffee, there are several different ways to do this. For instance, this one and Zilker Coffee Milk Stout, which I've talked before about in my top 5 go-to beers episode, are good breakfast beers. They're lower alcohol, generally about 5.5 to 6%. So you can wake up in the morning on your days off and cook some eggs for your 2-year-old and still be able to take care of her without necessarily having a bad time. So understand that when I'm saying breakfast beer, I'm not advocating for bottomless mimosas at brunch. I'm just saying instead of your coffee in the morning, if you have a day off and you're gonna spend the day, say, by the river or by the pool or just hanging out on your porch, maybe start that day off on the right foot by substituting a beer instead of some coffee. As long as you're being responsible with your drinking, you can drink whenever you want, even for breakfast. So as you can see, we've gone to the dark side, and it really wasn't that bad. And as always, remember, these are just the 2 beers that I brought. So the next time you're out at a bar and you want to expand your palate, ask the bartender what would be a good dark beer. Instead of drinking some coffee at home on your next day off, grab a dark beer and start your day that way. Just remember, variety is the spice of life. Continue spicing up your life. As always, remember to follow us on social media. My name is Isaac Harigle. This has been Geeks on Tap, the dark side. And remember, your next beer is on us. Cheers.